So we are recording. So I'm here with Chris. What's your last name?
Horlacher.
Horlacher. Oh, there we go.
Good German name.
Great German name. So we had an awesome conversation yesterday where you were telling me all these projects that you are involved with. So sorry, I'm going to start that again. It's just a total mess. So welcome to the soLOOSHion podcast. I'm here with Chris Horlacher, who just gave an amazing lecture at Acapulco. You want to tell something of what you have talked about during your talk just now?
Yeah. I spoke about the 3 myths you've been fed about Atlantis. And so the book is called The Apocalypse of Yajnavalkya. And it is really the history of Atlantis. Human history doesn't make any sense if we did not have an advanced civilization during the Pleistocene age. And there's been a lot of myth-making around Atlantis, and that's probably deliberate because they don't want people to realize that they actually existed and that this is where the stories of all of our gods come from, because our ancient, more, savage ancestors, the hunter-gatherers of the world, all perceived these people as gods everywhere they went. And matter-of-factly, you have stories of Atlanteans from every culture all over the world for thousands of years. And so the 3 myths were, one, that Atlantis was an island. It's not. Myth number 2 was that Plato is the only source of the story of Atlantis. He's not. And the last one was that the Sahara is a desert. And that's not.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, and we can find more information or if we are wanting to learn about that in your book, right?
Yes.
Can you give the title again?
It's called The Apocalypse of Yajnavalkya, and you can find it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all the bookstores, everywhere. It's got great distribution.
How about we take a little walk?
Sure.
So, to you, what is the significance of that book, and what can it do in the world? What is the how can it affect us?
In our kind of circles and communities, we're always talking about like the ruling class or the elites or they, and then who's they? Is it the Jews? Is it secret gay Nazis? Like who is it? And where did they come from? And that really is one of the big answers that this book provides us: who they are. Where did they come from? What do they believe? And why are they up to such crazy shit all the time? And why do we have to suffer for it all?
And can you summarize those conclusions a little bit?
Well, about 14,500 years ago, Atlantis fought a civil war. And we have legends about this, the war in heaven, or the Titanomachy of the ancient Greeks. And at the end of this war, as the legends state, the losing side was exiled or imprisoned. Subsequently, where did those exiles go? Well, they went to Mesopotamia and the Levant, and this is where our stories of the Anunnaki and the fallen angels come from. And there is genetic proof that this happened, folks, and this is some of the evidence that the book brings to light. Not only that, but there are other sources other than Plato for Atlanteans. Some of them even mention Atlanteans by name. And the same translator that translated both Plato and the other guy who mentions Atlantis by name, who's Diodorus Siculus, by the way.
Is that also a Greek?
No, he's a Roman.
Oh, okay.
Roman from Sicily, hence Siculus. But he uses a source, so just like Plato sources his story to Solon. Diodorus does not source it to Solon. He sources it to some other guy entirely named Dionysius Scythobrachion, who lived in Alexandria, where the Library of Alexandria existed, the best place in the world, in the ancient world, or probably ever, to go for ancient knowledge. And what do you know? There's all kinds of stories about Atlanteans in Diodorus. So this idea that Plato is the only source is just an outright fabrication. The manuscripts of Diodorus have been in our possession for over 1,000 years. So they've been translating this into English. It's just that nobody has been telling us, oh, by the way, Diodorus talks at length about Atlanteans. So Plato's the only source. Outright lie. That everybody is now repeating because nobody's reading Diodorus, and everybody gets to read Plato, and then they point at Plato and say, oh, well, it's an allegory that Plato is making about the ideal civilization and its fall, even though Plato says multiple times that this is a real story, folks. I know it sounds wild and crazy, but it actually happened. And just like he also says that other myths of us Greeks did actually happen. In the very same book that he talks about Atlantis, he says that the story of Phaethon, the child of the sun who burned up North Africa, was a real event, alluding to a celestial body that came in through the atmosphere and burned up North Africa, which incidentally is where the Atlantean civilization existed. And then, of course, he says that right after that happened, Ovid says then the gods leave. Gods leaving the planet. And when we talk about this, this godforsaken planet, that's what you're talking about, folks.
Okay. So you've done a lot of research to find all this. Have you spent a lot of time to?
I would say
how
this
did that
has
information come to you?
Well, a few different ways. I mean, I am standing on the shoulders of giants. And, some of them, are named, people like Eric von Daniken, Graham Hancock, Robert Laval, John Anthony West, Robert Schock. A lot of people have been chipping away at that. Manly P. Hall. People have been chipping away at this story for centuries, but only in the modern day, and particularly in the last maybe 15 years, have a lot of science research gotten published validating these ancient accounts. And this book brings it all together in a multidisciplinary discussion, combining geology and climatology and biological sciences, DNA research, and we assembled the story of our ancestors that was a true story that over thousands of years has just degenerated into myths.
All right. So, it's very interesting. I'm certainly going to read that book. And just to tie the whole book and your story to the soLOOSHion project, I'm wondering, have you heard of the word loosh, and what kind of meaning does it have to you?
I understand that as something I think that Robert Monroe coined. It's kind of a psychic energy we all possess that is a tasty treat for some interdimensional baddies.
Yes. So, I am talking about the soLOOSHion project because Robert Monroe didn't only write about loosh, but he also, that is really a substance. I actually believe it is a form of bioluminescence. Mm-hmm. It's a substance that is causing problems at the moment. But he also described a situation for our Earth and our species where it can be a very blissful experience for us, where our souls are completely free, where we can incarnate in whatever life form we choose on our planet, where we don't have to be addicted to the human experience and reincarnate incessantly, and we don't have all this inner chatter going on. And as a being, you can experience what it's like to be a palm tree or a cloud or a fish, and you have all that richness of experience. And you can also be a human, which is that chatterless, reincarnation addiction free human species 2.0. Mm-hmm. So my issue is that many people know about loosh, which is described in chapter 12 of his second book, Far Journeys. But somehow nobody seems to be talking about that possible outcome. And I feel if you have a problem, it's a very powerful thing to know where you would like to end up. So that's why I like to talk about that outcome as a really good idea. And so I'm approaching everybody I can get in front of my camera to create awareness of this option. And it's just not any old option. It has been worked on by many beings in several lifetimes. And it's just a very simple design, in fact. And we can wait until some god is going to do it for us, or we can just start taking care of turning that into reality by talking about it and giving it attention, visualizing it, making music about it, paintings, just focusing on the solution. So what are your thoughts on what I just told you?
Well, I think it comes down to not being bound up in a sensual experience, experiencing only the material world, and forgetting that you are a multi-dimensional energetic being that truly is eternal, that exists as one, as you, that oneness with God, or the image of God that is within you. That is kind of like the watcher behind the eyes that is judging your actions and telling you, oh, don't do that thing. It might feel good, but it might give you some immediate gratification, but you're slowly chipping away at your soul and that connection to God that you have to consciously feel and understand. And that is where the Atlanteans are, and that's where they want us to be, so that we can all coexist together. Because just look at the world, folks.
Yeah.
If you're a cosmic society that has existed in peace and prosperity for tens of thousands of years, are you really going to want to move in and exist among people who are ruled over by a baby raping, baby eating cult? No.
Yeah. So, do you see that there are ways that we could learn from the Atlanteans and how they lived, and then we could propel that into the future and see ourselves regaining those properties again?
Certainly, and they've spent a great deal of time and effort trying to teach this stuff to us in many different ways. I would recommend the Book of Enoch, but then also get into the Hermetic texts. The Corpus Hermeticum and the Asclepius contain direct teachings of an Atlantean to a man that they took, a Levantine man that they took back with them to Atlantis. And this is where all the stories of Enoch and Hermes Trismegistus or Thoth come from, is this scribe of scribe of the gods, a mortal man who was raised up to the status of an angel who became God's right-hand man. So if he can do it, you can do it.
Great. So it's a great source for inspiration to start to create our own future and start designing that human 2.0. So thank you so much. So we're at Anarchapulco. I'm wishing you a great conference.
And safe flight home.
Is there a website or something where we can find you?
Library of Kern, CERNE.com.
Okay, great. So do visit and have a look. And the soLOOSHion website is soLOOSHion, and you can see the links in the description. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.